Hey guys, guess what? You've been lied to. Not by some company, by comfort, by routine, by the idea that what's in your house will actually help when things get real. Here's the truth. Half the essential items sitting in your home, they'll fail. Not just underperform, completely fall apart when the pressure's on. And the worst part? They're the most popular ones. The stuff you think you can trust. The stuff everyone else is buying, stocking, and depending on. But when the grid collapses, when roads shut down, when an emergency becomes reality, these 10 items will leave you exposed, frustrated, and scrambling for a fix that isn't coming. Let's talk about them one by one, so you don't make the same mistake everyone else is about to. Number 1. Regular flashlights. They sit quietly in drawers, glove compartments, and bedside tables, your first line of defense when the lights go out. But here's the truth. Most people are relying on flashlights that will fail the second you actually need them. These aren't tactical lights. They're the cheap, mass-produced plastic ones, weak beam, disposable batteries, and a body that cracks the moment it hits the floor or faces the cold. You press the button, and nothing. Dead. Useless. Just when you need it most. In a blackout, a storm, or a bug-out situation, light is life, not luxury. It guides your steps, signals for help, checks injuries, defends your perimeter, and keeps panic at bay. And yet so many homes are relying on dollar store-grade torches with batteries that haven't been checked in years. FEMA and emergency response teams repeatedly warn that non-functional flashlights are among the top failure points during disasters. Why? Because most people never test them and never upgrade. And if you think your phone flashlight is enough, think again. It drains your only communication device in minutes and throws barely enough light to cross a hallway. The solution? Upgrade now. Not to something expensive, but to something reliable. LED tactical lights with aluminum casing, rechargeable options with solar or crank backup, or even headlamps, hands-free, long-lasting, and bright enough to navigate pitch-black terrain. Keep one in every key zone, bedroom, kitchen, car, bug-out bag. And don't just store it, test it. Check the batteries. Know the beam strength. Feel the weight. Because in a real crisis, light isn't optional, it's survival. And the wrong flashlight will leave you in the dark, literally. Number 2, cheap first aid kits. They come neatly packed, sealed in plastic, often labeled emergency first aid. Sounds official, looks complete, until you actually open one in a crisis. What you'll find? A few adhesive bandages. A roll of gauze, maybe some alcohol wipes and a pair of plastic tweezers. But when someone's bleeding badly, when you're dealing with a broken bone, a deep wound, or a serious burn, that kit is nothing more than false hope. These kits are designed for convenience, not survival. And in a real emergency, convenience won't stop the bleeding. FEMA and Red Cross both recommend trauma-grade supplies, not what's stuffed into those $10 retail boxes on clearance racks. Let's get real in a collapse. You can't call 911 or head to urgent care. You are the medic, and that means your kit better be ready for more than a scraped knee. What should a real emergency kit include? Pressure bandages, tourniquet, hemostatic gauze or clotting agents, burn dressings, splints, medical tape, nitrile gloves, antiseptic irrigation solution, pain relievers, and antihistamines. A guide on trauma treatment when help isn't coming. These aren't luxury upgrades, they're life-saving essentials. The scary part? Most people only realize their kit is useless after something goes wrong. After the bleeding doesn't stop. After the swelling turns dangerous. After the infection sets in. Don't wait for that moment. Build or upgrade your kit now. It doesn't have to be military grade, it just has to work. Test it. Organize it. Know it. Because in a world where medical help is hours or days away, your first aid kit isn't just a box. It's your first line of defense. And if you've trusted the wrong one, that mistake could be fatal. Number 3, rechargeable bulbs and nightlights. They look smart. They feel convenient. A bulb that stays on even when the power goes out? Genius, right? But here's the catch. Rechargeable bulbs and nightlights are only as good as the last time your power was on. Most of these devices work on a simple principle. They charge when plugged into a live socket and automatically switch to backup mode during an outage. But what happens when the outage isn't just a few hours, it's days or weeks? That's when reality hits. No power means no recharge. And once their internal battery runs out, which often takes less than 6 hours for nightlights and 4 hours for some bulbs, they're just expensive, powerless decorations. In a short-term blackout, sure, they give you a comforting glow, but in a real grid-down situation, they create a false sense of security. People rely on them, assume they'll light the way, and forget to invest in actual long-term lighting solutions. Worse, many of these lights are made from fragile plastic, poorly sealed against moisture, and useless in outdoor or emergency shelter conditions. They're made for suburban brownouts, not real emergencies. What should you rely on instead? Lights that aren't married to the wall, battery-powered lanterns with replaceable cells, solar-powered LED panels or hand-crank flashlights. And yes, candles or oil lamps, if used safely. The key is independent, repeatable function, not one-and-done convenience. So before the next outage hits, go through your home and ask yourself, if the power stayed off for a week, how long would this light last? If the answer is not long, it's time for a better plan. Because in a real collapse, a dead light doesn't just leave you in the dark, it leaves you vulnerable. Number 4. Electric street ovens and microwaves. In normal life, electric stoves and microwaves are the heartbeat of every kitchen. They're fast, clean, efficient, the ultimate convenience. But in a real emergency, they turn into dead weight. When the grid goes down, they go with it. And if those are the only cooking tools in your home, you're done. No hot meals, no water boiling, no food sanitizing, nothing. We've seen this play out in real events like the 2021 Texas blackout, where thousands of families had food in their homes but no way to cook it. Microwaves sat useless. Stovetops were just cold panels. People ended up burning furniture in fire pits just to boil water or cook rice. Now here's the kicker. Most homes in cities and apartments rely only on electric setups. No backup, no alternatives. And when you're stuck with frozen meat, dry beans, or powdered soup, cold water just won't cut it. Microwaves, especially, are a trap. They don't just need power, they need strong, stable voltage. Even if your generator kicks in, it may not be enough to safely run one. So now you've got a countertop paperweight and no backup plan. The solution isn't expensive or complicated. It's about having off-grid options: a propane camping stove, a butane burner, a small wood-burning rocket stove, or even a solar oven for sunny days. These tools are portable, affordable, and can be used outdoors or in a ventilated space. And they're the difference between eating and waiting. Because in a real collapse, cold food gets old fast, and the tools you trusted the most, they'll leave you hungry if you didn't think ahead. Number 5, regular Ziploc bags for food storage. They're everywhere in every drawer, every kitchen, every lunchbox. Ziploc bags feel like a smart storage solution. They're cheap, convenient, and perfect for short-term use. But in an actual emergency, they'll fail quickly and quietly. Why? Because regular Ziploc-style bags weren't built for long-term survival. They're not airtight, they're not pest-proof, and they're definitely not designed to hold up in heat, humidity, or freezing temperatures. One small puncture in moisture, air, or bugs are in, and once that happens, your stored food is done. We've seen this mistake in disaster zones where families tried to prep dry goods in bulk, only to find mold, rot, or insect infestations weeks later. Why? Because they trusted bags that were meant for sandwiches, not survival. Another overlooked problem? They can't be sealed securely without external tools. Once you open a Ziploc, the seal weakens. And if you're relying on those same bags to store medicine, dry rice, sugar, or powdered drink mix, even the smallest leak can ruin the contents. During a long-term collapse, proper storage is everything. It's not about having food, it's about preserving it. And here's the reality. Ziploc bags are a convenience tool, not a protection system. They don't block UV light, they don't stop oxygen, and if rodents get involved, they're shredded in seconds. So what should you be using instead? Mylar bags with oxygen absorbers for dry goods, food-grade 5-gallon buckets with gamma lids, vacuum-sealed bags for compact storage, even glass jars with rubber-sealed lids for things like herbs, spices, or oils. These options aren't just more secure, they're built to last through chaos, weather, and time. Because when collapse hits, the food you saved is only as good as the bag you put it in. And a plastic pouch that tears under pressure? That's not storage, that's sabotage. Number 6, folding utility knives, box cutters. They're tucked into junk drawers, toolboxes, even glove compartments, Folding utility knives and box cutters feel like a safe bet, slim, sharp, and ready for anything. Until they're not. Here's what people don't realize. These tools were designed for cardboard, not survival. They were made for opening packages, not cutting rope, preparing food, processing kindling, or defending yourself in a real emergency. And when you push them beyond their limits, they fold, literally. The thin metal frame flexes, the blade wobbles, the locking mechanism slips, and suddenly, what felt like a smart backup turns into a dangerous liability. During hurricanes, wildfires, and earthquakes, rescue crews often report injuries caused not by the disaster, but by using the wrong tools under stress. Folding knives with loose blades or dull edges snap mid-cut, sending people to emergency tents with deep lacerations. And in a crisis, there's no time for stitches. Let's also talk about replacement blades. Box cutters rely on inserts fine when stores are open, but when the shelves are bare, what will you do with a blunt blade? Grind it? Sharpen it? Good luck. Utility blades aren't made for reuse, they're made to be tossed. So what's the real solution? You need a fixed blade knife, one solid piece of steel from handle to tip, no joints, no hinges, no failure points, something with enough strength to cut through tarp, wood, cordage, and still hold its edge. Even better, go for carbon steel. It's easier to sharpen in the field and more durable than you think. Your knife shouldn't be a tool. It should be an extension of your hand, dependable, strong, and ready for anything. Because in a real emergency, the blade in your pocket isn't just about convenience, it's about control. And trusting a box cutter in a survival scenario? That's a risk you only take once. Number 7. Pressurized air fresheners. They smell clean, they feel comforted. But when the grid fails and you're rationing everything, that pressurized air freshener sitting in your bathroom? It turns into a flammable, space-wasting liability. Let's be clear, aerosol cans are designed for convenience, not crisis. They depend on pressurized gas to deliver scent, not sanitation. And in tight indoor environments, especially without proper ventilation, that fresh scent quickly becomes a headache-inducing cloud of chemicals. In blackouts, with no airflow and sealed windows, these fragrances build up fast. Breathing them in over time? It's not just unpleasant, it's risky. Worse, most people forget these cans are flammable. Stored near a heat source, open flame, or malfunctioning appliance, they can explode. Literally. During the California wildfires, dozens of house fires were traced back to aerosol cans, igniting under pressure inside hot garages and sealed kitchens. And in a collapse, where every square inch matters and every tool needs a function, these bulky cans do one thing: take up space. They don't clean. They don't disinfect. They don't make a crisis more livable. They just cover up the smell for a few minutes. So what should you keep instead? Natural odor absorbers like activated charcoal, baking soda, or even vinegar-based sprays do more than just mask smells, they neutralize them. And they're safer, reusable, and non-toxic. Because when you're trying to stay alert, breathe clean air, and protect your family in a closed-in, off-grid space, the last thing you need is a chemical time bomb sitting on your shelf. Number 8. Basic power banks. On the surface, power banks look like a lifeline, compact, portable, and promising just enough juice to keep your phone alive during an outage. But when the grid stays down for days, not hours, those basic single-charge power banks most people keep in drawers or backpacks, they become nothing more than dead weight. Most of them offer just one full phone charge, maybe two if you're lucky, and then they're useless without any means of replenishment. No solar panel, no crank, no generator compatibility. In a real emergency, where communication, navigation, and even basic lighting rely on your phone, that tiny charge vanishes fast. One weather update, a few critical calls, and a flashlight app, later your device is drained, and your backup plan is now a powerless block of plastic. What most people forget is that power banks themselves need power. They don't generate energy, they store it. And when you can't plug into anything, that storage hits zero very quickly. Worse, the cheap ones degrade faster than expected. Leave one sitting unused for 6 months, and chances are it won't even hold a charge when you need it. They're built for short-term convenience, not extended crisis use. FEMA and emergency response teams all stress the importance of long-term power access. But if your only backup is a promo brand charger from 2 years ago, you're in trouble. If you want real reliability, you need high-capacity units 20,000 milliamp hours or more that include solar panels, Or better yet, modular solar charging kits that can power not just phones but radios, lights, or even USB-powered fans. And just owning them isn't enough. You need to test them regularly, charge them, drain them, and recharge again so you know exactly how they'll perform when it matters. Because when communication becomes your lifeline, guesswork will get you cut off. Depending on a single-use device without backup options, that's not preparedness, it's just misplaced faith. Number 9. Electric can openers. They're in almost every kitchen, sleek, automatic, and effortless. Just place the can, press the button, and it's done. But in a real crisis, electric can openers turn into one of the most useless items in your home. Why? Because they rely entirely on electricity. And when the power goes out, so does your ability to access food that might be sitting right in front of you. It sounds like a small problem until you're staring at a shelf full of canned goods and nothing to open them with. No power, no opener, no food. That's not just inconvenient, that's dangerous. We've seen this happen in disaster zones, where families had the food but no tool to access it. Some tried to use knives or screwdrivers and ended up with deep cuts, broken tools, and ruined supplies. It's a small oversight with massive consequences. Electric openers also have a hidden flaw: they break easily. Drop one once, and the gears misalign. Try using one on a dented can, and it stalls. And once it's broken, there's no fixing it without power tools or replacement parts, both of which are impossible to find during a collapse. The solution is brutally simple: a solid manual can opener. Not the cheap dollar store kind with loose joints and dull blades, but a stainless steel, heavy-duty model built to last, preferably with a wide handle grip and a blade that stays sharp even after months of use. Because in a long-term grid-down scenario, your food security hinges on being able to access every calorie you've stored. And if the only thing standing between you and 3,000 calories is a broken gadget that once sat proudly on your countertop, that's a prepper's worst nightmare. Don't let convenience fool you. If your food requires a tool to access, make sure that tool doesn't need a wall socket to do its job. Number 10. Ceramic kitchen knives. Ceramic knives look premium. They're lightweight, ultra-sharp, and often marketed as never needing sharpening. But in a real survival scenario, they're one of the most fragile tools you could depend on, and that's a problem. Here's why. Ceramic blades aren't built to take impact. Drop one on a hard surface, and it can chip, crack, or snap entirely. Use it on anything tougher than a tomato, like frozen meat, thick rope, or even wood packaging, and you'll quickly learn how brittle ultra-sharp can be. During a collapse, your knife isn't just for prepping dinner. It becomes a multi-use tool for cutting rope, slicing tarp, processing food, even basic self-defense. And ceramic simply can't hold up under that kind of pressure. Another issue? You can't sharpen them yourself. Unlike steel blades, ceramic knives need specialized equipment to resharpen the kind no one has at home, and definitely not in a blackout or bug-out scenario. Once they dull, they're done. Meanwhile, a solid carbon steel or full-tang stainless steel knife may not look fancy, but it will survive the fall, handle the pressure, and sharpen easily with a basic stone. It's not about looks. It's about longevity. In normal kitchens, ceramic makes sense. In emergencies, they're a gamble. And when things are already unstable, the last thing you want is a snapped blade in your hand and no backup in sight. So there it is, 10 household items almost everyone trusts, but that completely fall apart when things actually get real. And that's the scary part, not what we don't have, but what we think we can rely on until it fails. In a crisis, there are no do-overs. No second chances to rethink the tools you've trusted for years. And whether it's the knife in your kitchen, the light on your wall, or the power source in your drawer, one wrong assumption can put everything at risk. If even one of these caught you off guard today, good. That means you're paying attention, and it means there's still time to fix it. This channel isn't about fear, it's about clarity. Cutting through the noise and giving you the kind of info that actually helps, not hype, not panic, just practical survival truth. So if you found this video valuable, don't just hit the like button, smash it. Drop a comment and share something you think people are overestimating before it's too late, because your insight might be the one thing someone else didn't think of. And if you're serious about staying ahead of the chaos, subscribe right now, because the next collapse won't wait until we're ready, but together, we can be.